6. The creative minority. Today, the United States is sometimes described as the falling giant. It's not. True, many people comment that crime and drugs have been ruining the human character, and many young people are concerned with spending an important part of their lives seeking thrills. In the midst of all of this, however, there are people who study hard and pour themselves into research for a brighter tomorrow. People who are sweating with efforts to make sure that all of America's great development and progress does not go to waste. I think it is this group that is going to lead America's enormous society. We should not be fooled by numbers because they inform us only of quantity, and that is their limitation. For example, if you have a farm with 100 pigs and one person, numbers by themselves only tell you that it is 100 to 1, so numbers can deceive. They do not tell you the strength of the minority. Historian Arno Toynbee referred to those who contribute to civilization as a minority of creative people, a very small minority, but their influence is not determined by their numbers. Their influence is determined by creativity. The creative inspirations of this small minority make it possible for the non-creative majority to participate in the development of history. To do so is not only the right of the creative minority, it is their duty and responsibility. Society and history cannot progress without their contribution. These people are obligated to make the non-creative majority change and to make history progress. If they do not, they prompt the end of a society or civilization. Stifling this minority's creativity also invites the downfall of a society or civilization. When creative capabilities are not used for social advancement, when the creative minority becomes a controlled minority, society is headed toward doom. If leaders fall into hedonism and laziness, then creative inspiration and the spirit to challenge disappear, and doom begins to spread. You have to become creative and to work creatively for the development, progress, and happiness of society and mankind. You will probably ask how you should go about this, how you should become a creative person, a member of the creative minority. Well, first, let me tell you what you should not do. You should be neither an opportunist nor a mere observer, nor should you be a defeatist. What you should have is a broad vision of what you can do for the nation and the people, and furthermore, what you can contribute to the history of mankind. Long, long ago, the Hebrews left Egypt and spent 40 years wandering in search of the promised land. They were heading for the land of Canaan, which was the land blessed by God. However, the land was already occupied, so the Hebrews sent an expedition of 12 men to check on the overall situation of the Canaanites. When they returned, 10 of the 12 men shook their heads, saying that it would be impossible to occupy the land. The inhabitants were much taller than the Hebrews and they had great fortresses. The 10 men could see no way that the Hebrews could win a battle. The other 2 of the 12, however, disagreed. They said that the Hebrews had nothing to fear, for it was the land promised to them by God. These men were greatly outnumbered, 10 to 2. So had the decision to invade been made by majority rule, the Hebrews would have never moved. But based on the arguments of that minority of 2, the Hebrews decided to go ahead with their plans, and they succeeded. Majority rule alone does not always shape history. The spirit of challenge by a minority led the Hebrews into the promised land. The creative minority is affirmative. It is composed of people who keep the spark of hope and optimism in the middle of uncertainty and despair. The creative minority believes in the progress of history and gives added impetus for progress and development to the wheels of history.